What we're going to do now is address the constraint of false positives. So let's imagine that our customer is concerned about false alarms. They're concerned that our classifier will flag benign samples as malicious, and we don't want more than 10% of the benigns to be flagged as malicious. In machine learning terminology, this means we want our false positive rate to be 0.1 or less. On the other hand, given that our false positive rate is below 0.1, we would like the largest coverage of malware possible. In other words, maximize our true positive rate. One way we can do this is, instead of just giving predictions of 0 and 1, we're first going to get predictions with probabilities. The classifier already has a predict probability function. So when we look at the predictions, we have probability of being of class 0, which is benign, and probability of being in class 1, which is malicious. What we're going to do is threshold this matrix. So if our threshold is, for instance, 0.4, that means that every value that is below 0.4 will be rounded to 0. Every value above 0.4 will be rounded to 1. That would mean that this prediction is actually going to be malware. This prediction is going to be benign. And by picking our threshold appropriately, we can shift our predictions so that we can minimize false positive rate at the expense of our true positive rate. So let's see how this works. I loop over a wide range of thresholds, going from small to large. And as I do this, I'm going to do my rounding, and I'm going to measure my false positive rate and my true positive rate. As soon as I'm below the desired false positive rate, I've found my classifier. So at first, false positive rate is 0 because we are predicting everything to be negative. As I increase the threshold, eventually I start getting some false positives, but now I'm capturing some of the malware as well. I keep going, then I reach my desired 10%, and I see that I'm able to capture 86% of the malware under this constraint. But it's important to note that here I'm using the test data set, but in a serious application you should separate out a validation set in addition to your test set, and you should put aside the test set and not touch it until the very end. You will use the validation set to do this thresholding, and then you will keep the threshold which you found and you will use it in your predictions.